again. So what can we do to, to respond to that?
Yeah, it's hard, especially in a third country, because you don't have a reason really to use English
Yes.
if you're working in an English language environment. And so language is for communication, right? So you want to be able to use meaningful communication. So I think one way is to do task-based projects, project learning. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, you could pretend like you're preparing for a presentation. So you choose a topic that you really like. Okay, so you read everything you can about that topic. You listen. You do research, um, and then you can think and write out a presentation that you would like to give. So you own the information that you're going to be sharing. So you can choose what to include in a presentation. Um, and so you're including the four skills as you're preparing for a project, for a task-based learning. And then at the end, you give a presentation. Now you could do that for an English class that you're attending. You could ask the teacher if you could have some time to have a presentation, or just with a language learning partner, or just for your own self, just record yourself um, and listen back and have someone else listen and give you feedback on that. But because language is supposed to be meaningful communication, yeah, we want to be able to communicate something so someone can learn from what we have learned. So task-based projects are really a good way to be motivated. And another thing, you'll see this is for all the questions that you ask, a very important aspect is using authentic materials. So the materials that are produced in the native language for native speakers. That gives a lot of motivation because that's the modern language that's being used by the speakers now. So use authentic materials, and you can find them online, or they're everywhere. Story, TV show. YouTube has a channel called Learn English with Movies. So they take maybe 3 minutes of a movie, and you can listen, and they have subtitles, and then you can listen again with no subtitles. Then they give you the transcript. So you're learning idioms, you're learning culture, you're learning everything using the authentic material. Um, Paired language activities. So find a language partner online or in your class. Because again, with the partner, you're communicating, so it's meaningful, and you're motivated to want to do that. And maybe you can change your phone setting to English so that you get all of your notifications, or all of everything is seen in English. That's very motivating because you want to understand what's coming to you. And learn with content. Don't just learn grammar separately. Um, Learn information as you're learning English. So again, find a topic that you're interested in and read about it in English. Listen to it about it in English. So don't make English learning and learning new information separate. Learn new information in English, well, based on the level that you're at. So, but that's available too, because so many of the programs are leveled, so you can get the content at the level that you're at. So, and you also have to remember that it's going to take time. You just have to have patience and keep remembering why you want to be able to speak English fluently. So just keep your goal in mind. Um,
So that's very helpful, and I think it's all about authenticity, and that's very great because back then when we just started to learn English, we just imagine ourselves, but what it will be. So like mostly people will tell us, hey, you must learn good grammar, and so that you must learn good grammar first, and so that you can blah blah blah, and just memorize vocabularies. But we did it that way, but motivation factors come down. But now it's all about authentic approach and learning, and the and that's very interesting. I think to reach to a level that I have right now, I happen to learn that way, but not in a very much authentic about that. Just as you mentioned, that is why I struggle a lot, and I took very long time to become like right now.
Yeah, it's very useful to learn the way that you learned. We all learn our native language as we're children,
Hmm.
right? We learn just by hearing. The grammar comes automatically.
Yes, yes.
Seeing visuals, by seeing pictures and then hearing it and connecting the picture with what we hear and hearing it over and over again. Okay, this is if I'm going to do something later, so I always hear the word will before the verb. So
Hmm.
not explicit
Yeah.
teaching it. Sometimes that's necessary, but a lot of times we can learn just through, yeah,
Yes.
natural
Yeah.
stories, the way that we
Yes.
learn this language.
Yes, I happened to, back in when I was in grade 11, there is a book called back then I thought that's great, but actually looking back right now, it's totally, I don't think it's wrong, but it's not very much effective. So that's a, how to write essay. So it's about writing essay. So he say about, if you want to, learn how to write essay, and if you want to know step by step, effective methods, you have to first you have to think about that in Myanmar and write it down in English. So, so yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the goal is to think in the target language. So, the methods that you use to learn, using the authentic materials and learning in context and with visuals, that will help you to be able to, when it's time and when you're able to be able to write an essay, it will, you will have the natural grammar patterns and speech patterns and vocabulary that you need. And remember, you can't translate word for word from one language to another. So,
Hmm.
yeah, if you do the foundational work of first learning with authentic materials and then using context, then writing an essay will be much more natural and easier.
Thank you very much. Because because I struggle a lot with that idea when I was when I was young. So.
And it's okay not to translate word for word, sentence for sentence.
Hmm.
We're thinking, so you just want to be able to translate the idea.
Hmm. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you. So let's go into the number three question. So it's all about addressing pronunciation challenges. So we find it, as the English learner, as the second language, we find it hard, the correct way of pronunciations. Out of that, one of the most that we fear the most is that if we say English and we sound bad pronunciation, people will mock us, people will mock me, and make fun of us. So that kind of fearness, comes to our mind. So that most people, that is why most people, tends to not speak English in public, or among their friends. So to address those, challenges, what will be the practical approaches, you know, that our English learner can adopt to help them improve the pronunciations and overcome the fear of speaking in a new language, especially to their friends and families and in the public. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the biggest ways to improve in speaking is listening. Uh, Listening is so important for speaking, for language acquisition in general. So the more that you listen, the more that your ear is accustomed to hearing the different sounds that from the sounds that you use in your mother tongue. And then I think a lot of times, whenever we hear ourselves, our own voice speaking another language, that sounds strange. So maybe recording yourself and then listening back also help you to get used to listening to your own voice in speaking another language. Imitation, right? Because children, when they're young, they imitate everything they hear, they imitate everything that they see. So we want to imitate because when you imitate, you not only are being able to speak the words so someone can understand it, but you're speaking it naturally, like the intonation, how high it goes at the beginning and end of a sentence, the rhythm of the language, the speed. So you might watch a video, a short video of someone speaking several times and listen slowly and quickly. And then you might record yourself and try to imitate exactly the way you hear, the rhythm, the intonation, the speed, everything, the body language, as you see. So record yourself doing that, and then watch, reflect on what was successful and what you need to improve. So I would say imitate and record yourself a lot, and then watch back to reflect. Um, and again, in speaking, you're not just speaking word by word. So practice speaking phrases or complete sentences and listen to yourself back again. And then prepare something. So think ahead. So if tomorrow I'm going to go to a Christmas. Maybe my friend has invited me to a Christmas get together. So I want to think, okay, let me think of some questions ahead of time, prepare some questions and practice asking them. Or let me think of, let me look up some vocabulary words about Christmas or about, so try to prepare ahead, um, anticipate what you might hear and what you might want to say. And then find a partner, speaking partner. Um, if you can find a native speaker, that'd be wonderful. But I'm sure someone would be very happy to commit, a few minutes every day to. And if you're not free at the same time, just send messages, and then they could give strategies. I know there's a lot of AI apps now that are probably very helpful. I haven't looked them up. um, and then the last thing, authentic material. So listen to authentic movies and music, and because maybe you don't want to memorize words that we used 20 years ago that we don't use often now as native speakers. So you want to listen to very modern, authentic sources.
So that's yeah. Again, it's all about authenticity. We usually back then, as a young learner, word by word, we understand it, how to pronounce it. We maybe the teachers taught us how to pronounce it. Uh, um, but when a native speaker or the English speaking person speak to us in like a different intonation and linked sound, wow, that's boom. No, what?
It's good to learn, like, in those phrases because, like in Burmese, I know probably sure every language. Sometimes we don't pronounce the last two letters because they run together with the first. So, um, yeah, imitation is very powerful as you're listening to, yeah, native speakers.
And to the number four.